Israel is a legitimate state, then why is it only sustained with violence? Israel has a right to that land, then why is that right maintained with violence? Israel has the right to defend itself. The right to self-defense cannot be invoked in occupied territory. Do you condemn Hamas? Armed resistance against an illegal, violent occupier is never condemned. But do you condemn Hamas, though? I condemn the Israeli state for propagating the law of accumulated evil. But what about Hamas, though? When you illegally occupy land for 75 years and you deny those people of a peaceful means to have political agency, you can expect armed resistance. Under international law, to violently resist an illegal occupier is a human right. Nah. Okay. Capitalism is the natural order. Then why must it naturally be maintained through force, suppression, racism, and violence? What is blood yappin' about?
Who was the president of Palestine before 1948? Gotcha. Palestine didn't have what we in the West call presidents. They were called Grand Muftis. And before 1948, the Grand Mufti was Amin al-Husseini. What? No, but who was the president, though? I just told you. Ha! There was no president. Gotcha! Yes, they didn't use the word president, but they still had leaders in Palestine. Just because they didn't label their leaders president doesn't invalidate their political system or their human rights. You just made this about you and your own xenophobia and ignorance of other cultures outside of the West. Nuh-uh. Let me ask you this. Who was the president of Israel before 1948? Gotcha. No? Yeah. Because before 1948, Israel didn't fucking exist. Don't talk bad about my favorite apartheid state. When your day is long, who was the president of Palestine before 1948? Gotcha. Palestine didn't have what we in the West call presidents. They were called Grand Muftis. And before 1948, the Grand Mufti was Amin al-Husseini. This is awkward.
Is this the best that PragerU has to offer? This dingleberry? Clearly they're not sending their brightest. Zionist libertarians try not to take a video out of context and construct an entire straw man argument out of it. Challenge impossible. Let's go back to the point of my video. My video was in response to someone trying to invalidate the political system and the right to self-determine on behalf of the Palestinians because they didn't have what we in the West consider presidents. My point is that Palestinian people did, throughout the interwar period before the Zionist settlement of Israel was established, did indeed have delegation, did have political leadership, and I gave you one example. This chud's entire response is to simply cast aspersions on one of the leaders that I cited so as to invalidate an entire people's existence. Make that make sense. Even though the Palestinian people did not have a political system organized in a similar manner the way that Western-style nation states did, this does not nullify their right as a people to self-determine on the land that they are indigenous to. Just because they didn't have presidents and they weren't recognized by the British Empire as a sovereign nation state does not make them apt for ethnic cleansing. This is not hard to understand. In the same manner that the Native Americans, the Hawaiians, the Filipinos, the Cubans, the Puerto Ricans, the Guatemalans, the Nicaraguans, the Vietnamese did not deserve to be ethnically cleansed or violently bombed on their own land. Creating an apartheid ethno-state based on your own religious supremacy and subjugating another class or group of people who you can thus terrorize and massacre and extirpate from their own land, all because they don't have presidents, is a baby-brained argument. In Sarah Roy's book, The Gaza Strip, we learned that the policies towards the Gaza Strip and unilateral control over the Gaza Strip by the Israeli government is so unique that it defies all conventional wisdom in the economics lexicon. Sarah Roy literally had to invent a new word to describe what is happening to the Gaza Strip. It wasn't underdevelopment, it was de-development. De-development has 5 distinct features: expropriation, dispossession, integration, externalization, and finally deinstitutionalization. In Rashid Khalidi's book, The 100 Years' War on Palestine, we learned that the process of de-development was articulated
way back in 1895 by early Zionist leader Theodor Herzl, who wrote in his diary, quote, "We must expropriate gently the private property on the estates assigned to us. We shall try to spirit the penniless population across the border by procuring employment for it in the transit countries, while denying it employment in our own country. The property owners will come over to our side. Both the process of expropriation and the removal of the poor must be carried out discreetly and circumspectly. If one wishes to incriminate the Israeli government and the Zionist movement in general, one needs to look no further than the words and actions of the Israeli government and the Zionist movement." Yeah, well, that's what I was. Oh my God. What? I'm sorry. I saw a free parking sign just now and I thought it said Free Palestine. Oh my God, you are so traumatized. I feel so sorry for you. I'm just so tired. Where are you right now? I'm in the Starbucks drive-thru. Ooh, can you pick me up a caramel latte? Yes, hot or iced? Iced. Sure. Thank you. Anyway, what were we saying? Something about trauma? That's right, I'm so sick of these Free Palestine freaks.
Israel is nothing more than a spider's web. You only need to blow on it, and it falls apart. Well, can't pick on someone your own size, can you, Israel? Then again, you've always been a bully. Me and Master can do anything. That's right, Iran. Hold it. Syria. Egypt. Jordan. You too, Lebanon. You're disgusting. Stand down! For decades now, you won't leave our land. I said stand down! You're gonna pay dearly for this. I don't give a good goddamn! Please. You leave the boy alone. You hear me? That's more like it. Now this is how this little thing's gonna go. Israel here is gonna do its thing. And you boys are just gonna have to sit back and watch. Please, no. Try any funny stuff? I'll sick the goons on you. Get what's coming to you. Oh, actually, America, I think we're in some violations here. I don't give a good goddamn! Okay. Yeah, of course, no, you're right. Totally.
Look, what can I say? We're gonna need more tank ammo. You got it, Jack. No. Let's pull the emergency clause. Look, we need this aid package approved for Israel right now. Now just hang on just a second. Let's have a look at it first. Emergency clause. Oh, you did the thing again. Yeah, we did. Where you invalidate all laws and committee oversight by invoking the emergency clause. Emergency clause, right. It's the best. Yeah, I know, I get it. We face no accountability. Yeah, I know. Freedom! Yeah, freedom.
I stand with Israel. Violence is not the answer. And what, pray tell, non-violent means do you propose to employ to overcome being ethnically cleansed from your own land? Should the Palestinians ask nicer for their land back? But they are killing innocent civilians. Then blame the violent Israeli apartheid state for reaping what it sows. This is elementary basic morality. If you genocide a population, you can expect retaliation. There are no good guys here. One side is just as bad as the other. Both sidesing this issue just helps the side with the backing of the U.S. Air Force. Both sides are not the same. In true liberal form, you are neglecting to materially analyze the socioeconomic conditions and the military and political power that one social group has and wields over another social group in this situation. Why is it that we only hear from you and you only pipe up when violence is done as a retaliation against a more powerful authoritarian state. When that state is committing awful atrocities against a more vulnerable part of the population, you are silent. It's like saying revolting Haitian slaves in 1804 were no different than their French colonial oppressors. Or the Indonesians were as they fought off the Dutch that colonized them from 1800 to 1945. Or the Filipino liberation movement, which engaged in a war against the American occupiers from 1898 to 1914. These two sides are not the same. I stand with Israel. Hamas killed poor, innocent children. In the recent months before this attack, just this year, the Israeli army and violent occupying Israeli settlers in the Gaza Strip killed 240 Palestinians, 40 of which were children. None of them were engaged in military actions. Now, where were your crocodile tears then? Why do we only hear from you when the Palestinians are fighting? Because the news is making such a big deal about when the Palestinians attack and not when the Israelis attack. And I have been trained to follow the mainstream imperial narrative. Yeah. Where it goes, I go? What conclusions it draws, I draw? Exactly. As if they came from me. Right? I am the mouthpiece for power? You're getting it. But no, it can't be. These were extremists. Extremism foments in the soil of oppression. Guerrilla movements only emerge after attempts at peaceful transition to democracy are brutally suppressed or indeed exterminated. It is no surprise that militant movements are the ones that survive. All the moderate dissidents are dead. But Israel created Hamas. But why? So the Israeli government can do what it's doing now. Israel has a right to defend itself. Actually, no. Legally, they don't. They are an occupying force in violation of international law. Thus, they forgo the right to self-defense. Israel is not an occupying force. They withdrew from Gaza in 2005. Wrong again. Legally, they are. And the UN General Assembly, the International Committee for the Red Cross, Human Rights Watch, Amnesty International, the International Criminal Court, the International Court of Justice, all agree that Israel is still the occupying force in Gaza. Even though it withdrew its troops in 2005, it still has complete, unanimous, and unilateral control over the Gaza Strip. Thus, it is still the occupying force. Well, even if that's true, occupying forces still have rights. See the rules of belligerent occupation as outlined in the International Committee of the Red Cross, which you just cited. Israel still has rights as the belligerent occupier. But rights entail responsibilities. Israel is not fulfilling its responsibilities as a belligerent occupier. Thus, once again, it forgoes its right to self-defense. See the rules of belligerent occupation. The only people who have a right to self-defense and a right to use violence are the people in the occupied territories. Their violence, whether symbolic or strategic, whether indiscriminate or precise, is considered neutral by international law, and thus it cannot be condemned. I don't get it. Occupying territories is illegal. Resistance to occupying forces is legal. These people are facing annihilation, they are facing extirpation, they are facing expulsion, they are facing ethnic cleansing, they are facing being genocided. They have every right to exercise any and all forms of resistance that they possibly can, whether it's strategic or symbolic, whether it's indiscriminate or precise.
Nixon ordered Cambodian genocide. Clinton sent cruise missiles to Sudan, people died. Obama gave the orders to do drone strikes. Reagan invaded Nicaragua in '85.